Like, I don't know, maybe help us out. Like, why does everybody think that, or why is everybody trying to almost prematurely accuse this man of doing something nefarious?
And the Department of
Hey,
Government
Gerard.
Efficiency is going to fix that.
How much do you think we can rip out?
I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
The official who oversaw the federal payment system has been placed on administrative leave after he resisted giving Musk and Doge officials access to the system, which contains sensitive information about millions of Americans who receive Social Security, tax refunds, and other government payments. While Musk's team has access, it has not yet gained operational control of the system, and no government payments have been blocked. That could trigger a legal battle since the money is approved by Congress. Musk has also said,
"Oh my God, he's so evil. Oh my God, he has a lust for power and influence. Like, who told him he could do this? Where is all this coming from? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe because he said he's gonna do exactly this. He coined the name Doge, like a funny pairing or a funny play on his cryptocurrency, or the popular cryptocurrency Doge. Department of Government Efficiency said, I'm gonna get in there, trim the fat, cut the spending. I'm gonna do it the same way I did X. I don't understand where all the surprise is coming from. He literally outlined his plan. Him and Vivek literally said what they were gonna do on day one. It went from Vivek and Elon to Elon, and now I feel like Elon's only just doubled down. He said, cool, you know what? It was a little bit tight in here anyways. Now I can let my elbows flare out a little bit. And now he's doing what he said he was going to do. There should be no surprise.
And he wants to get rid of the penny, noting that the 1 cent coin costs nearly 3 cents to produce.
Elon's doing a good job. He's a big cost cutter.
Wait, what? Yo. This is what I say. Stuff like this is just like innovative. You got to love stuff like this. And I think it hurts people's brains because it challenges the status quo. I'm going to tell you something, chat. If you want to get to new places and experience new things, sometimes you got to do things you ain't never did before. Listen, don't let that one go off to your head or over your head. Like, if you want some new shit, sometimes you got to do some new things. And if we want to cut the fat or trim the government spending in a way we've never done before, sometimes you need innovative initiatives like Doge and a man behind it like Elon.
Blocked. That could trigger a legal battle since the money is approved by Congress. Musk has also said he wants to get rid of the penny, noting that the 1 cent coin costs nearly 3 cents to produce.
Elon, like, get rid of the penny? Like, yo, I ain't gonna lie. First of all, who the hell uses change anymore? Like, come on now. Like, but all jokes aside, if it really is costing us 3 cents to produce a currency worth 1 cent, yeah, just cut that shit altogether. Like, what are we doing? Like, what is it? The novelty of the penny? Like, nobody loves pennies that much. The currency collectors will have to find a new hobby. Like, if this shit is costing us more money to make than it's worth to use, then yeah, we got to figure out something new. Just cut the penny altogether.
He's doing a good job. He's a big cost cutter.
This weekend, Musk also taking aim at the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, which is in charge of dispensing tens of billions of dollars in foreign aid. Musk writing USAID is a criminal organization. Time for it to die.
To be clear, in shutting down, which we're in the process of doing, shutting down USAID.
About 100 staffers were placed on leave after the agency refused to give Musk's team access to classified material. The team was eventually given that access. The Trump administration has already faced legal hurdles while pushing to gain more control of government spending. Just last week, Trump's executive action freezing federal grants and loans was blocked by the courts. Back to USAID, many staffers have lost access to their email and other accounts, and the agency's website was taken down. Critics are demanding to know why a group in charge of government efficiency needs to be conducting this apparent takeover of an agency.
I wouldn't call it a takeover again.
But we begin tonight.
Backlash comes from people who have already been in public disagreement of Trump and Elon. I mean, guys, as popular as they are for some, is as hated as they are for others. So when we see their every move being overanalyzed and highlighted by some of their detractors, then are we really surprised? Beyond that, detractors included, no one should be surprised by what he's done thus far. He came in and said, I'm going to attack efficiency. I'm going to trim the fat. I'm going to go in, get rid of some of this needless, wasteful spending. And he's doing exactly that. In what way better to kick that initiative off by going at the treasury, where we spend all the goddamn money, in control of the goddamn money? That's where you go. That is the center of a Tootsie Pop. Like, that's where it all starts. That's where it all stems from. So yeah, he was gonna go for the treasury. That should be no surprise. And if you're acting surprised, then maybe you aren't as smart as you thought you were. Maybe you aren't as smart as you thought you were. But I got some more interesting videos from X actually to follow that up, because certain perspectives you just cannot hear on YouTube. You can't hear them on Instagram. Shit, you can barely hear them on TikTok. Sometimes you got to come to X to get that, to get that real perspective. So let's come over here real quick and see what we got. We got a tweet right here shared by Elon in response to his tweet by Mike Benz. So why is USAID funding this organization with 7 CIA directors on its board to train hundreds of people in censorship training seminars on how best to flag Donald Trump's tweets for misinformation? Like, whoa. If that's true, that is insane. Let's see here. Watch this vid with over 2 million views. Let's watch this vid, guys. Actually, that video is a little bit lengthy, but we have some other videos to cover, but don't worry. Elon responded to that tweet and said, because USAID is or was a radical left political psyop. Insane. Elon does not hold his tongue. I respect it. The transparency and the authenticity is something I will always respect. Even if it might come across as a little abrasive to some, it might not be your cup of tea, but what you can always respect is that he's being authentically himself and he's not mincing words or hiding his true feelings. Let's start here, guys. Got a short little clip. This is Caroline Levitt. Apparently, she's highlighting the waste of abuse of USAID. She lists the top 4 most insane priorities. She said, "Here's why Elon Musk and others have been taking a look. 1.5 to advance DEI in Serbia's workplace." I'm not sure what that has to do of the price of tea in China, but okay. Shout out $70K for production of DEI musical in Ireland. Like what? A musical? $70K? Like what? Production must have been insane, but $47K for transgender opera in Colombia. You know what? Colombia makes sense. Colombia makes sense on that one. And $32K for a transgender comic book in Peru. Like, what the hell? What in a woke initiative? Like, what the hell? But let's get into this video real quick. Caroline Levitt, I guess, speaking on it for a second.
Dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American. And here's the reason why Elon Musk and others have been taking a look. Because if you look at the waste
and shout out Castro, $2. He said, Wuhan, China. Yeah.
Oh shit!
Abuse that has run through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud.
Like, if the connections there are true, you just have to ask, like, why? Like, what purpose does that serve, and how does that represent my values and identity as American? Oh, wait, it doesn't. It doesn't. Which is why a lot of us are fine with this initiative. Like, bro, some of this stuff has been going on behind the scenes for far too long. And it's only these corrupt politicians that are trying to, oh, well, he's trying to get in and he's trying to be an autocrat and he wants unchecked power. The people that are saying that, the people that are crying about how he's coming in and shaking things up are the people with things to hide, are the people with things on the line, a job they're not trying to lose, some benefits they're trying to keep. Come on now, let's use our head. We got some more videos here. I wanted to definitely bring up some, because like I said, guys, you can't find these takes on YouTube. This isn't the stuff that's getting platformed on YouTube. You got to come to X, for this type of perspective sometimes. But let's see here. We did have a few more videos. Let's get it. All right. Let's go here real quick.
Authorize USAID to receive and spend American tax. You're here today asking the committee to authorize USAID to receive and spend American taxpayer money. In your prepared testimony, you noted that USAID teams have been working day and night to send some of those resources to the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip. How much money has USAID sent to the Gaza Strip during the Biden administration?
I mean, just first let me say that the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip, I think, is not, I think the IDF would disagree at this point that that's an accurate characterization.
Who was the elected leadership in Gaza?
No.
Oh, yeah, and shout out Don's $5. He said he found a video covering people doxing Doge members and telling people to harm them. Oh, shit. Oh, okay. He super chatted in earlier, letting us know that was going on. But he says he found a video, posted it in the Discord, and I should play it. Okay, shit. Let me know if y'all think I should play it. Matter of fact, I will get it queued up because that is crazy.
That's, again...
That would be Hamas, right?
Correct. But would you say that Hamas is controlling the Gaza Strip now?
Well, thankfully, no. Because the Israelis are killing terrorists and the Biden administration is doing everything they can to try to stop the Israelis from killing the Hamas terrorists. So my question, how much money has USAID sent to Gaza during the Biden Strip? During the Biden administration?
I have not tabulated year to year what the investments have been. But we, as you know, the previous administration cut off assistance to the West Bank and Gaza, so it took a year and a half for us to begin to.
I think it is an exceptionally bad idea to give money to people who want to kill us. I just want to be clear. You're testifying today. You don't know how much American taxpayer money you've already spent in Gaza.
You're asking the question in a specific way, and I'll get you the specific numbers. Related specifically to Gaza, our resources often go to grantees or contractors who are working in the West Bank and Gaza. So you're slicing it narrowly to Gaza. I just don't want to say something that's inaccurate.
Okay, well, let's try this from another direction. Since Hamas's October 7th attacks, the Biden administration has surged aid into the Gaza Strip. Now, you're not able to tell us how much.
No, that wasn't your question.
But, well, okay, if you can tell us how much since October 7th, well, I'll take that too.
Okay. We I think, have announced between USAID and the State Department somewhere around $100 million, but that money has not necessarily moved into Gaza, if you know what I mean. I mean, this is to get money into the pipeline in order to get.
So how much has moved into Gaza since October 7th?
I can't say.
Well, there are UN and American government databases that list some of the aid. When you take a look at the databases for 2023 and 2024, you find about $40 million in grants to NGOs and UN agencies that are marked confidential. And you also find that millions of dollars of that aid was actually cash. Which NGOs and UN agencies received that money?
Again, I'd want to go through and give you the proper breakdown, but the partners that we rely on and provide the most assistance to would be the World Food Program, UNICEF, International Medical Corps, who, for example, are running a hospital in southern Gaza, seeing 600 patients a day. The partners, if we're talking about the humanitarian assistance, which is where we've surged assistance, we're talking about trusted partners that USAID works with all over the world.
So who are the individuals who have received cash?
The individuals would be, in the case of the World Food Program, which, you know, in order to keep markets going so that people are not forever dependent on humanitarian assistance, or to give people the ability to make it possible for markets to exist, these are voucher assistance programs, and they go to lists of beneficiaries who are identified by the World Food Program on the ground. So Gazan civilians.
Well, and then you say Gazan civilians, how much of the aid, cash or otherwise, do you assess that has been diverted directly to Hamas?
We do not have reports from our partners about diversion by Hamas. And I would say as well that the government of Israel is not shy about presenting to us evidence of things that it finds problematic, UNRWA being the most glaring example. And this is not something that has come to our attention in other ways as well. And they are monitoring.
I will say,
to be very clear, Senator, just if I could say one more thing, the government of Israel has eyes on everything that goes into Gaza. There's no other way in that doesn't go through Kogat. And so it's really important to bear that in mind.
Which is insane, which is why people define Gaza as an open air prison with their big brother Israel hanging in the background, deciding and dictating every move and every decision. Almost crazy. And people wonder why there's just this inherent beef.
That the system that has been in place since October 7th is the most stringent and vigilant form of surveillance that I've ever seen in my
Okay, so you say you don't have any evidence, but if you take a look, you mentioned the poster board, and let's look to the USAID's own Inspector General says that Hamas diverts humanitarian assistance, specifically that the entire Gaza Strip is a, quote, high risk for potential diversion and misuse of U.S.-funded assistance. The State Department makes the very same assessment when they restarted aid in 2021 over my objections and the objections of many others. They made an internal assessment that there was a, quote, high risk the aid would benefit Hamas. That's the Biden State Department. That's the USAID Office of the Inspector General. What are you doing to stop this money from going to Hamas? And to be clear, if you go online right now, you can see videos of Hamas terrorists riding on top of aid trucks. And so saying we don't have any evidence this is happening when your own agency says there's a high risk of this happening, that's not credible.
This is an entirely appropriate fraud alert in the most complex operating environment on planet Earth, which calls on USAID, the OIG staff themselves, and our partners to be excessively vigilant and to remind partners that they have to report.
Do you agree with the Inspector General that there's a high risk of Hamas diverting the aid?
There's a high risk in any environment where you have armed elements. That risk is there. And in, again, this really, really unprecedented situation where you have such a small number of crossing points and such intense focus, not only on the aid as it crosses, but also on what happens to the aid with IDF soldiers patrolling through Gaza.
You know, I have to say it's remarkable. You can't tell us how much money's gone into Gaza.
No,
you can't tell us what's happened to stop it from going to Hamas.
You asked a totally different question at the beginning. You said how much over the duration of the Biden
I asked it both ways.
No, and then I answered. I said roughly around $100 million, which it looks like is on your poster board. Saying this looks like that's what the Inspector General, the figure that he used as well. So my point is this is exactly the right set of questions. This is our responsibility to prevent diversion, to look into any allegation. Our partners know that when something like that happens, they have to report it to the OIG and to USAID. And we have a set of investigation measures and remediation measures that we have to take when that happens.
And I'll be honest, concerns are legitimate, but how Ted Cruz structured it, I think there could have been a better moderator or interviewer, questioner, whatever you want to call it. He I don't know. He dropped the ball on that. He could have grilled her a little bit harder. Concerns are legitimate, though. Let's get into the next video here. We got Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
The unresponsive agent. Well, look, I mean, my frustration with USAID goes back to my time in Congress. It's a completely unresponsive agency. It's supposed to respond to policy directives of the State Department, and it refuses to do so. So the functions of USAID, there are a lot of functions of USAID that are going to continue, that are going to be part of American foreign policy, but it has to be aligned with American foreign policy. I said very clearly during my confirmation hearing that every dollar we spend and every program we fund, that will be aligned with the national interest of the United States. And USAID has a history of sort of ignoring that and deciding that there's somehow a global charity separate from the national interest. These are taxpayer dollars. And so I'm very troubled by these reports that they've been unwilling to cooperate with people who are asking simple questions about what does this program do, who gets the money, who are our contractors, who's funded, and that sort of level of insubordination makes it impossible to conduct the sort of mature and serious review that I think foreign aid writ large should have. We're spending taxpayer money here. These are not donor dollars. These are taxpayer dollars, and we owe the American people the assurances that every dollar we are spending abroad is being spent on something that furthers our national interest. And so far, a lot of the people that work at USAID have just simply refused to cooperate. Are you currently in charge of USAID? I'm the acting director of USAID. I've delegated that authority to someone, but I stay in touch with him. And again, our goal was to go in and align our foreign aid to the national interest. But if you go to mission after mission and embassy after embassy around the world, you will often find that in many cases, USAID is involved in programs that run counter to what we're trying to do in our national strategy with that country or with that region. That cannot continue. USAID is not an independent, non-governmental entity. It is an entity that spends taxpayer dollars, and it needs to spend it, as the statute says, in alignment with the policy directives that they get from the Secretary of State, the National Security Council, and the President. And it's been 20 or 30 years where people have tried to reform it, and it refuses to reform. It refuses to cooperate. When we were in Congress, we couldn't even get answers to basic questions about programs. That will not continue. That's not going to continue.
Oh wow! And based off of Senator or Secretary of State Rubio's comments, there, one could infer that the USAID was kind of running their own mission. And we sent them over there for a certain plot, and they ended up in the hands of another plot. Like, that's insane. Like, nah, we sent y'all over there for a reason. What are y'all over here funding other NGOs and other third-party groups for? Counter to our interest. Like, yeah, what the hell? Come back home and you're fired. All the leaders, every single one of you, fired. Done. Canned. But let's get into some more videos here I got on X. If I can. All right, cool. So we got Schumer here. He's got Schumer, some comments after the announcement was made. Some quick comments from Schumer. Let's get into it real quick.
Also know this is just the beginning. If Doge attacks USAID today, then you can be sure they'll move on to another target tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe it'll be the Postal Service or the IRS or even the Social Security Administration. They could be next. Or maybe our national security agencies. Also know this is just the...
Wherever there is errant and mismanaged spending, I think Elon should be turning his attention to whatever government agency or administration is recklessly spending money, pissing away funds. That's where Elon should turn his attention to. So if you're next, you're next. For the better of the people, because America says so, goddammit. All right, now I got one more video here I wanted to get into about that USAID, kind of giving us a little bit of a deeper look and insight. Let's get into this one here.
Development, USAID website or social media pages, you are informed that this site can't be reached. The media reports that the new Trump administration has not only frozen USAID activities, but may be planning on bringing it back under control of the U.S. State Department. Other reports, including statements by Elon Musk, suggest that it will be closed completely. If true, the closing of USAID may be one of the most significant changes President Trump has made among the many dramatic actions in his first couple of weeks in office. Many Americans may still have the idea that USAID is a government agency delivering relief at disaster site overseas. They may still remember the bags of rice or grain with the USAID logo on them, but that is not USAID. USAID is a key component of the U.S. government's regime change operations worldwide.
Oh boy.
USAID spends billions of dollars every year propping up NGOs overseas that function as shadow governments
It's as I
eating
just
away
said.
at elected governments that the
It's
U.S.
as I just said, guys. We send USAID over into these countries, these struggling countries, I might add. Um, and again, they fall into what seems to be their own agenda, funding third parties, NGOs, counter to our own interests. Like, we sent them over there for a purpose. Now they in the hands of somebody else working against us. And now you wonder why Trump said y'all fired. Now you wonder why Trump said, Elon, go ahead and do your thing. Yeah, this errant type of spinning right here that's been commonplace finally is getting addressed. Nobody knew about this until Elon and Trump said, yeah, this is going on.
interventionists want to overthrow. Behind most U.S. foreign policy disasters overseas, you will see the fingerprints of USAID. From Ukraine to Georgia and far beyond, USAID is meddling in the internal affairs of foreign countries, something that would infuriate Americans if it was happening to us. When President Trump ordered a 90-day pause in USAID activities, we quickly learned just how pernicious the agency really is. The U.S. media reported that Ukrainian press outlets were scrambling to keep their doors open when the U.S. dollar stopped flowing. It is reported that 90% of the media outlets are funded by the U.S. government. This means that there is virtually no independent media in Ukraine, only fake news outlets willing to toe the U.S. administration's propaganda line. Does anyone think these wholly U.S.-funded news outlets would ever publish a story that the U.S. government did not want published? This is plainly immoral, but it is also dangerous. Most U.S. mainstream media stories about Ukraine have their origin in the reporting of the local media. From battlefield news to casualties to the state of the Ukrainian military, the news from Ukraine is being written by U.S. government-backed media outlets and then picked up by U.S. and other Western media. It is a closed propaganda loop that not only propagandizes the U.S. citizens but also feeds false information into U.S. government outlets, such as Congress, that rely on mainstream U.S. media reporting for their news on Ukraine. No wonder so many in Washington continue to support this hopeless war. But USAID is not just the business of disinformation. Elon Musk recently reported a New York Post article on X reporting that USAID bundled $53 million to Echo Health Alliance to support gain-of-function research on coronavirus at the Wuhan lab. Did USAID help fund COVID? Americans have a right to know. In natural catastrophes overseas, Americans have shown themselves to be extremely generous. Private volunteer assistance organizations can most effectively assist victims of disasters worldwide. USAID needs a full and transparent audit. Americans deserve to know exactly what is being done in their name. Then the agency needs